Good afternoon, everybody. Holy banana bed. Welcome to this week. And let me tell you what a week it has been. Boy, yikes. So we're now in a trade war with the United States. So let's see how that turns out. Believe it or not, we do have a lot of news. The funny thing is, my article on the trade war and on the tariffs, I have had to completely keep on revising it. As you know, things have been changing big time over, well, all even up to last night. So, oh boy, we're going to definitely be talking a little bit about the trade war. I'm wondering if our Canadian troops are ready. Uh, you know what? Let's do something a little different. I'm going to check in on the readiness of our Canadian troops. Guys, from the field, are you ready? Okay. I don't think they're ready. I don't think they're ready at all. But nonetheless, welcome to the show. Um, we're gonna, we'll chill this afternoon. We'll talk about the news. We'll answer questions. We'll chat. All of that fun stuff. All right. Before we really get into anything, as you guys know, last month we had we did that whole the bomb thing. So this month, I was like, what can I do? What can I do this month? We're going to do a swag giveaway when we hit 25. So when we hit 25 supers this month, we'll do a giveaway. So we will draw. That does put pressure on me to actually create the swag that people have requested. So I've had a request for a Mr. Math mug. I've also had a request for a mug that says "not too shabby" with a beaver. And I've had a Mountain Finance bag. So those will definitely be added in. So I will be working on swag this month. And when we, towards the end of the month, when we hit that 25, we'll do a drawing. There's software I can download where we'll pick somebody randomly out of the chat. So we'll do that on that stream. And then we'll figure out how I'm going to get you your product. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's what the swag is. The swag counter is up there. Subscriber sponsored video, it is back. We're just putting it back at the normal $20. So if you want me to do a specific video, basically first person who does a $20 super chat, put the name of the stock in it that you want me to do a deep dive on, or if you want me to do a list video, throw that in there as well. All of that fun stuff. So it is, it's going to be a fun month. Now, normally we give away a bunch of free memberships every first Sunday. We've changed that now in February. We're going to be spreading them out throughout the month. That way they can sort of keep on trickling in. But guys, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be any today. You know what? Let's drop one right now. We'll get the ball rolling for the month, and we'll see who wins. All right. Here we go. Amanda has won a free membership. Congratulations, Amanda. All right, guys, let's get into the chat. Holy cow. You guys were here really, really early. Jonathan was in first. Am I late for a trade war? No, my friend, you are, as I said to you a couple of hours ago. Yeah, you're right on time. Niece says, hey, hopes everyone is doing great in these turbulent times. They are turbulent. Keep in mind, this is just the opening salvo, what we have seen. Now, on the actual executive order that set this trade war into motion, Trump did specify that there would be a retaliation for us if we retaliated, and we have retaliated. So I've been waiting for that. Actually, I was checking Truth Social before the stream just in case he threw something in there, but nothing yet other than him saying he wants Canada to be the 51st the 51st state. Once again, I don't know what's going on with him, but I don't think that's going to happen, guys. All right. AA says, I am just praying and hoping everything will be fine on Monday and no trade war. I know it's wishful thinking, but no, the trade war's here. I don't see this getting resolved anytime soon. Even when Justin Trudeau was giving his speech last night to announce everything, one of the reporters had asked him about his communications with Trump, and he's like, well, he's kind of, I haven't been able to get in touch with him. So I don't think Trump's even going to take his call. So I'm not anticipating this going away really fast. Maybe once Carney gets, I think Carney's probably going to be the next PM. Maybe he can have something going with Trump. I don't know, but I don't see this resolving itself fast. It's kind of that situation where nobody wins. So I think both sides, Canada and the United States, I think everybody's going to lose with this. Yeah, don't worry, we're going to talk a lot more about tariffs today for sure. Prairie is in the house with a good afternoon, community, and happy Sunday. And Cowboys in the house with a greetings all. And we got Max in the house. And here's Bismarcky. Good afternoon. Jordan says, good afternoon, Candace and all of chat family. Hope all are well and comfy. Yeah, it's good to see you, Jordan. Always good to see you. Ian says, better finish my beer. The show is starting. You can drink beer while you watch the show. I don't mind. Mario says, good afternoon, everyone. Elisa's in the house with a good afternoon. We got Sue with a hello, everyone. And Tim is in here. Hello, Candace and crew. And we got Vaughn. Holy cow. And let's see. We got Verena. Hi, everyone. I really, every time I do this, guys, and I go through all the names so fast, somebody once told me it reminded them of Romper Room. And now that keeps popping into my head. I need a magic mirror. That's what we need. Let's see. A guy says, hello, folks. And we got Jay in the house. All right. And Jordan says, can I request a Mountain Finance hoodie? Yeah, you can request one. What I am probably going to do is all the ones that I do for the mugs, I'll probably have them. I'll put them on other things as well, like hoodies, T-shirts, all of that stuff. Guy says, let's see, the markets are going to tank on Monday. Very concerned. Yeah, there's actually a lot of institutional funds that are they're short in the market big time because they are expecting this to cause some bit of turmoil. So yeah, if we have any green on Monday, I would be shocked. But I think Monday is going to be. I think the market's right off the market for Monday. It will be red. We got Sandra in the house, and Sue is concerned. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a trade war that nobody really wants. Well, other than Trump. Let's see. All Sorts is in the house with a good afternoon and a congrats. We got King a Day in the house. All right. Your damn it says, hi, everyone. Happy Tariff Week. It often takes a crisis to unite a country. I am proud to be Canadian. Yeah, absolutely. I actually heard something today on a press conference that I did not think I would ever hear. Pierre Poilievre actually said that Justin Trudeau was right. I was like, whoa, I didn't think that would ever happen, but it has. Let's see. Prairie says, congrats, Amanda. TV1 Canada, hi. Okotoks, Ontario here, Ontario and USA. Is Okotoks on the border? I'm not. I don't actually know exactly where Okotoks is. Like I'm from Nova Scotia, but I live in Ottawa, so there's a lot of the smaller Ontario towns that I'm still learning where they are. Let's see. Whoops. Verena says, "What does Trump really think all this trade war will do for the American people and the world?" He, in the olden days, so back we're talking, we're talking decades and decades and decades ago. The USA used to use a lot of tariffing. They used to use tariffs quite a bit. And what it did is, if you sort of think about it, when the US settled in North America, right? There wasn't a lot of manufacturing here. So they were getting a lot of their raw supplies from Europe, and they were paying for it over and over again. So what the US did is they wanted to be able to produce a lot of their own products. So they started using tariffs for that, because it made it cost effective to just build your own plants in the United States. So that's kind of where a lot of that tariffs have come in. Now, tariffs in this case here, like in this free trade society that we have, I don't think tariffs are a good idea at all. I think they're going to be really bad. I think they're going to I think he's just basically going to end up tanking two economies, ours worse. Like right now, the odds of us going into a recession halfway through the year are pretty darn good at this point. So, we're looking at a recession at this stage. I mean, right now, until we sort of get an idea on how this trade war is going to evolve, especially if he starts increasing the amounts as retaliation for the fact that Canada has thrown tariffs back. I would consider very much just sort of banking a little bit of your money on the side. Increase your cash positions, because we could be going into a rough time. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Like, no matter what, I think the first 6 months of 2025 are going to be crazy interesting. They may be crazy painful too for a lot of people. Yeah, this is a little bit of craziness. Let's see. Larry says, I think we will start seizing land, starting with one of the smaller targets, first Greenland or Panama. I think after one gets taken, it'll start a domino effect. I think the USA is closer to Weimer status. It's going to be interesting to see. I did like we really need to, we need to stay strong, but at the same time, it's going to be very interesting in weathering the storm that's coming. And we're going to talk a little bit about, a little later, we're going to talk about the supports that are being talked about. Now, I know I was very negative on these supports, but I'm looking at them from a different angle now, and I'll talk to you guys a little bit about that when we get into that in the news. Let's see. Guy says, I'm not a Trudeau fan, but that speech last night was amazing. Well done. Yeah, he did a good job. He did a good job with that speech. I was absolutely. And you know what? Here's the funny thing. I also watched a little speech that that Chrystia Freeland did, and I was like, oh my God, this is the first time I think I've ever listened to one of her speeches where she sounded smarter than she normally does in these speeches. I don't want to put her down, but she sounded much better composed. That would be a better word. So I was actually like, okay. So yeah, at least that's the thing. At least the whole Canada Strong idea is coming together. And I think a lot of people are really starting to put aside a lot of their grievances. Now, I did know that Polyev said that we need to get the parliament back in. And I do think we do. But I know one of the big problems that Trudeau has is Trudeau knows if he pulls the parliament in, there'll be a vote of non-confidence. And it's almost like if we want to just get this done, at least, in a cross-party way, maybe we need to pull it back. And maybe they'll, maybe if Polyev were to say, look, we won't have a vote of non-confidence until March, when we would have before, maybe that would help pull it together. I don't think he would do it, though. Northern Gal says, good afternoon, all. Jackie says, I agree, Larry. Trudeau did a good job. I thought he might not retaliate. Yeah, and it's interesting. I think right now all the premiers, and there's been a lot of different retaliations. So alcohol has been one of the big things. So, of course, Ontario is pulling all U.S. alcohol off the shelves. I believe Nova Scotia is doing the same thing. And I think Nova Scotia is also any U.S. commercial vehicles that go through their tolls are being charged double. BC, they're doing it a different way. They're basically not selling alcohol if it comes from a red state. So the blue states are okay, but the red states, those guys are not going to, they're not going to do it. So yikes. Jonathan says, I'm super curious how the market will respond on Monday. I'm expecting a red day. It's going to be very interesting. Now, keep in mind, if Trump retaliates Monday, or if he says, let's say he comes up and says, I'm knocking it up to 50. You want to retaliate? Here you go. Here's your 50. That could be really bad. So we'll have to sort of see. So far, all he has done is insulted Canada and said we should be a state. That's the only thing that we've had from him so far since the Canadian tariff, or the Canadian tariffs, or Canadian retaliation. Andrew says, hi, everyone. Hope you're all having an awesome weekend. Y Video says, I like the vintage Mr. Math. It was very creative. The old one. Yeah. The old one was kind of, I know, with the little math symbols and everything. Yeah, that was kind of neat. I did like that. You'll probably see the vintage Mr. Math every so often. I might just pop up that version of him. Roku says, good afternoon. Fasten your seatbelts, folks. Next week is going to be a good one. Oh, yes. Canada is the glass. I know. Black Swan event. Yes and no. If there's a Black Swan event in here, it's it would be his retaliation clause that he threw on the tariffs, because we knew the tariffs were coming. So we had a little bit of an idea. Now, I also like the fact that with the Canadian tariffs, so our tariffs against them, they're starting off with just, I think it's $50 billion in products and then taking it up to 150. But some of them they're slowing down on, like they're not dropping them all right away so that people can have time to source some products from other places. And I always thought that was kind of a good thing. Now, keep in mind, in the US, there are a lot of companies like Walmart, for example. Walmart has been front loading like crazy. So all of their products that they want from Canada, Mexico, and China, they've been ordering them like crazy. They've got warehouses just absolutely packed with those items because they wanted to avoid the tariffs. And that's smart. So that has happened. Let's see. Ian says, had a guy suggest we sell all of our American stocks ETFs and buy Canadian to send a message, but I think / hope this will be short-lived. Yeah. I mean, and keep in mind though, and this is one of these things too. I mean, this is not the you can say that, the American people voted Trump in, so America is completely at fault. But a lot of people in the United States are just as innocent as we are. And they're going to hurt. I mean, both countries are going to hurt. And Trump has finally acknowledged, it's gonna be painful, but we'll have this great America on the other side. Yeah, the other side will be 4 years. Somebody else might come in and try to fix this mess. Hopefully we don't have tariffs for 4 years, but you never know. I mean, he did say he wanted to annex Canada, and he did say he would use economic force. So, whether these tariffs are really just about our border, or whether they're about his whole plan to annex Canada to make a name for himself. As he's the president who united North America. Well, yeah, that's all we need to know. That's all we need to know about him. Larry says, I really think the USA is out of options. We don't have anyone else to take resources from. North Africa belongs to France, Middle East, USA, half of Mid and Southern Africa is China. other half of USA. Yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, there's really no land. There's no land available that you can just sort of say, okay, look, we'll just expand into here. In this case, yeah, the Canada is ripe for the taking. I mean, and here's the thing. I mean, honestly, if the US militarily wants to take Canada, we don't have a chance. We don't. We have a military, and our military is well trained, but it's nothing compared to the United States. So if he ever gets to that point that militarily he wants to take over Canada, well, luckily I already know most of the words to the Stars and Stripes. So, oh boy. Of course, I don't want to see that. I don't think anybody wants to see that. And keep in mind, if he did do that, I don't think it would be a simple roll into Canada because we've got a lot of allies. It would be interesting to see. Yeah, I just don't think we want to see that. That would be absolutely nuts. But then again, I have seen all kinds of craziness happen. So what can we say? All right. Oh, we have a super in here from Y Videos. So that means the swag ticker has moved up to 1. Woohoo! That's always fantastic. And that, of course, makes Y Videos our GOAT. So thank you, Y Videos. Always, always, always love a GOAT. All right. Now, let's just see where we were at. All right. Okay, here we go. All right. Jordan says the LCBO to stop selling U.S.-made spirits and wines as of Tuesday. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, here it is. I mean, the longer this gets, and if there's more retaliations, I mean, this can get out of control really fast. So that's going to be fun. It will be fun, not in a good way. That's a sarcastic fun, folks. Ian says, I was in the bar. I'm home now. I'm watching at 2x speed. That was me that made the romper room comment a few years ago. Oh, there we go. Ian is the owner of the romper room comment. Awesome. Y Videos. The fact that he tariffs Canada and Mexico higher than China tells me that he wants a North American Union. Yes. But keep in mind, there's already a lot of tariffs on China. So that 10% is just being added on top. So China is tariffed more than what we are at 25%. I just want to be clear on that. But yeah, no, I think he wants, like, I'm okay with a North American Union. Like, I'm absolutely fine. As long as we maintain our sovereignty, I'm okay. I'm absolutely fine with that. But, I don't think we need Canada to be a state. And if it ever got to that point, one state, really? I would say that we would at least make 5 or 6 states. I'm just saying. Sue says, crap. A few months ago till retirement, and then I live off my dividends. Okay, so you got a few months to go, and trade war is just coming in and messing things up. Oh, boy. Yeah. I mean, I think this is going to mess up a lot of people, for sure. Bill says, I think tariffs on China are higher. They were at 25%, now at 35%, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, exactly. Depending on what they are. Now, some products have pretty high tariffs for China. Andrew says, I'm wearing my green shirt today. Looks like I'll be wearing red for the rest of the week. I think so. Funny Book says, I think Trump's endgame is to have companies move back to the U.S., have them produce more in the U.S. He promised more made in USA jobs and products. It's not just that, though, Funny Books. I think what he wants is, if you're a foreign company and you want to sell products in the U.S., he wants you to set up a factory in the U.S. to make the products that you're selling in the U.S. That way, you're avoiding the tariffs that way. And and already I know I mentioned this I think on the stream the other day. There's a pancake maker in Canada, and that's exactly what they're doing. They already have a small presence in the U.S., but the U.S. is their biggest market right now, biggest, fastest growing market. So they're actually investing more to expand their production in the U.S. That way there, they don't have to pay tariffs and everything. And, that'll create US jobs. So I think it's that as well. All right. Funny Books wants to know, Sue, if you're going to delay your retirement. Leandro says Bitcoin is down 5%. I'm expecting a sell-off tomorrow. Yeah, I noticed. I saw Bitcoin was down. Ethereum is down. It's crazy. And Larry says, crazy. We are only 2 weeks in, 4 more years to go. I know. And Tim says, hit the like button. Yeah, guys, hit that like button. It pushes this out to a whole bunch of people. Let's expand the party. Why not? Jay says, what happened? NAFTA 2, he negotiated. Yeah. I mean, pretty much NAFTA is in the trash can at this point. What more can we say? Y Video says Quebec will also pull US alcoholic products off of the shelves. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think by next week we will have a full understanding of what all of the premiers are going to do. And it's not going to be good. It's really not. Sandra says, do you think Canadian money will continue to weaken? Yes, absolutely. Here's the sad thing about Canadian money is that because of what is happening, right? Prices are going to go up. So that is a form of inflation. But the Bank of Canada is going to be left in this scenario. They have two things. The Bank of Canada's primary role is to control inflation. They use their rates to do that. So normally if inflation starts going up, they increase rates to pull it down. The problem is, at the same time as inflation is going up, our economy is going into the absolute toilet. Because of that, they normally lower rates to try to stimulate the economy to get that going. So we're now in a situation that normally the inflation would trump the economy, but this is a sort of a very unique situation. So they're going to be in a scenario where they're not going to raise rates. They're probably most likely not going to raise rates, and they may even cut them more just to try to get the economy going. So that's going to be interesting. And that, of course, will move us further away from the US dollar. And that, of course, the US rates, and that will then impact the dollar. So expect the dollar. By the summer, I expect the Canadian dollar to maybe be as low as 64 cents. It might even drop below that. So yeah, the Canadian dollar is going to suffer. Let's see, 50% on ketchup chips. Yikes. 9 says, can we get a holy banana bread merch with prayer hands? You know what? Just give me a second here. I'm going to just screenshot your comment, 9. There we go. It's in my list now. I just have them on my desktop. So I'm like, all right, let's pull them together. Bismarcky says auto manufacturing will come to a halt real soon. Yeah. And the problem with auto manufacturing is those products are going back and forth across the border multiple times in the process of building a car. And the way the tariffs are, you send something to the US, tariff, send it back to Canada, tariff, to the US, tariff, to Canada, tariff. So all of a sudden, you've got these crazy, crazy costs coming on car parts. So what's going to happen, and this is what's going to really hurt Canada, is these car companies are just going to start building all of their stuff right in the US. And that's what Trump wants, but that's what they'll have to do. They just won't be able to afford to do it. So yeah, things like that are going to get expensive. It's just going to get crazy, guys. Very, very crazy. Sue says, I know I can't delay. I have to draw down from the RIF for the next 5 years. So selling my stocks yearly in those accounts. So worried about how much the price of stocks will drop. And that'll be interesting. Like technically the drops that we see, guys, and I'm going to put this into perspective. The drops we see on Monday are going to be 100% fear induced. So it's not so much that the companies are making less money yet. Obviously, the tariffs haven't even begun until Tuesday. But what we're going to see is we're going to see people freaking out. That's what we're going to see on Monday. And if people do start selling in panic, that will, of course, cause things that'll create more selling pressure, which will drop things even further. But this is not going to be companies companies haven't really felt the impact, and it does take time for the impact to actually get felt. So it's not like Wednesday you're gonna you're gonna feel like you're in complete destitute or anything like that. It does take time to filter in. Let's see. Sue says, I also receive about 2K monthly in divs from my TFSA. Nice. Not bad. Not bad at all. Larry says, I think most Canadians like Canada, but Trump has a following that will turn immediately. Yeah. Chad wins a no prize for being the first to bring this one up today. Canada burnt down the White House back in 1812, I believe. And Canada military is better trained than the regular U.S. Army. USA just has bigger budget. Yeah, and that's it. USA has bigger budget and more numbers. But yeah, the Canadian military is well trained. Absolutely. I don't know if it's still this way today, but the Canadian Air Force, they used to actually be some of the best trained pilots in the world because of the amount of time they would actually get in their jets. I don't think they get as much time as they used to, but at one point in time, we're just talking like a couple of decades ago, they were some of the best in the world. Or 1912. Let's see, tomorrow the stock market is most likely going to be down because of Putin's tariffs on Canada. Yeah, we are expecting we're definitely expecting a red day. Gordo says, hoping we see a Canadian bank tip into insolvency. Money on TD Bank. All right. King of Day. We defended ourselves in the War of 1812. We can do it again if the U.S. decides to evade. Absolutely. As I mentioned before, we did look in on the state of the Canadian military, and they're getting ready. Here they are. There they are. Look at them. Look at them. They're ready to fight. They're all hardy and everything. All right. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Let's see. Canada will never be the 51st state. Absolutely not. Let's see. Trump has no interest in an economic union. He wants us to be a state or nothing. And that could be. It's hard to say what his goals are, but we're not he's not going to put us into a state. Not if he wants to do that, he needs to invade. There's no ands ifs about it. He can put as much economic pressure on us. We'll stand strong. Ian says, we were due for a recession. Now we will have a planned recession. Yeah, probably 6 months. Probably by the summer, towards the end of the summer, we'll be in recession. I have no doubt. I have no doubt at this point. Bismarcky, my next car will not be American made. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, even last night at the hockey game in Ottawa, the fans were booing the American national anthem. I've never heard that before. I've never, I personally wouldn't boo another. I mean, it's not America that I think we should be angry at. It's the current administration that's decided to go, get inspired by Fruit Loops and have some fun. I don't know. Chad says, but most of the fentanyl comes from China, not Canada or Mexico. All of the snow comes through Mexico. Oh, cocaine, the cocaine. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, fentanyl's a huge problem, but it's a problem for Canada as well as the United States. We have a lot of people who are dying up here from fentanyl as well. It's all coming over from China. It's a problem. Like, if anything, we should be working with the United States to deal with the fentanyl problem. But as many people have already kind of suggested here, it's not about the fentanyl. That's more or less the initial. And every time you listen to Trump, he has a different reason. He has a different, it's like he has a spin the wheel. It's like, oh, they want to know what the tariffs are. Let's spin the wheel. See, oh, yeah, Canada, 51st state. Oh, spin the wheel. Oh, fentanyl, spin the wheel. Oh, illegal immigrants. It's crazy. He's nuts. All right. Michael says, hello, Candace. Do you think the energy sector will fall less on the TSX this week than other sectors? A 10% tariff is still pretty, it's still a big tariff, but it could have been much worse. It could have been much worse. We'll definitely see some contraction for sure. But here's the thing. the US still needs that oil. So it's not like they're not going to pay that extra tariff on it. And there's been talk that the Canadian nuclear option, we'll call this our nuclear option. If we really, really wanted to screw over the States, we could cut our oil supply. But that does create other problems. Like, one, where the hell are we going to put that oil? We would have to actually start shutting down some of our oil wells to be able to pull that off, because we have no place to take it. That's kind of one of the problems that we're in, is that right now we don't have. So for example, if we want to get oil to the East Coast or to a lot of the east parts of Canada, we can't do it. We don't have that pipeline infrastructure in place to do it. So you take Eastern Canada, like most of the energy that Eastern Canada uses, well, they're buying some of it from, of course, Quebec, because Quebec has all of the hydro, but they're also buying a lot of it from Eastern, New England, pretty much. So that's a problem. Like, we have the energy, we've got the oil, the natural gas. We should be able to move it across, and we also should be able to move it a lot more effectively into other markets. So we can't always rely on the U.S. And this will teach us this. We will learn from this tariff, from this trade war. We're going to learn that we need to have more infrastructure, Canadian infrastructure, so we can sell oil more easily to Asia, more easily to Europe. And that you'll see it changes. Even if this gets resolved, we can't go back to the status quo. And I think this country, I think Canada is kind of growing up in that area in this regard. What are good stocks to buy or sell? Oh, oh boy, Magpie. That's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, all stocks can be good stocks to buy or sell, but I think right now, if you're looking to get into stocks, I would highly say stay away from your speculative stocks right now. Stay away from penny stocks. It's time to really start thinking about being a bit more defensive with your stock buys. So in other words, I would actually, advocate putting a good portion of your cash into a cash position. So whether it be a cash ETF or, or if you want to get into, maybe Nine might have been ahead of us all with the bond ETFs, but it's going to be interesting to see. And I am going to do a video on defensive investing probably sooner than later, considering the scope of the trade war. So you will see a lot more content in that vein going forward, just because a lot of times, and I will mention this, a lot of times when the markets go bad, a lot of finance channels will start to struggle on YouTube, because people, they're not, people are not thinking about investing. They're thinking about just getting by. And I know in the last bear market, a lot of, now I was actually pretty lucky, I think, in the last bear market, because, I was still producing content, because of the fact that normally people are not as excited about stocks when things are bad. A lot of channels just kind of start cutting their content a bit. Like, you don't get as many videos or anything like that. I do not do that. I just keep going full steam. And what I will do is, as things are getting worse, I'll create some content that is very relevant for what's happening. Let's see. Chad says 5% is nothing for crypto where it used to be. 60% hold for the ride, buy the dip. The whales are loading up at the drop in price. Yeah, I mean, crypto is going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine on the other end of this. That's the thing. There's going to be a lot of really good buy the dip opportunities. And if we go into a bear market at the same time as we get pushed into a recession, if you've been putting some money aside, you're going to have some really good options, some really good buy things. So on the other side, maybe this is depending on, and this is interesting. If a trade war escalates and stays in place for a longer time, it could create a fairly long recession. It could, because worst case scenario, according to the Bank of Canada, is that a trade war could knock our GDP down by about 3%. Now, keep in mind, right now we are we're not that high above 0% when it comes to where our GDP is sitting. So that will definitely push us into negative territory. So yeah, that's basically why. I mean, two of those in a row, and we have a technical recession. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it, unless this can somehow miraculously get resolved really fast. I'm not optimistic, and I'm a very optimistic person, but I'm not optimistic on this. I'm being very realist for it. Mario says 100 people are live. Yes, and that's a new record for the channel. Before today, our record was 70 something. So this is a new record. Welcome, welcome to all the people. That's so great. Andy says, do you think that Canadian investors will switch from Canadian to US stocks? Some will, some will. Honestly, if you're going to be making switches, I would almost start looking a little more at ETFs. At least that way there you're getting a much more diversification. And I think they will be safer going through what we're going to be going through. Bismarcky says, I'll be buying tomorrow. Let's see. The TD dividend came at the perfect time. Nice. All right. Ashraful says, Canada is gone. Think about your exit strategy now. I know. Bill says, when average investors sell over fear without a fundamental flaw in the economy, you'll see big money like Warren Buffett start to buy in. True enough. And that's why I'm saying, like, guys, the red that we're going to see this week is going to be fear red. It's not, it's not the companies losing money red. That's coming. That is coming. But for now, we're going to see that fear. So this week will be a fear-powered week. We have to see how long the fear can go. It could make it through the whole week. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I won't sugarcoat it at all. All right. Ian says, Andy, I'm not going to change my strategy. Just reinvest dividends. Big sale coming. Let's see. Yes, I understand, but we have to consider that it might need a couple of years for the economy to get back once it drops. Yeah, I mean, this is not the damage. And the longer this goes, it's going to take time to absolutely get things back in place. Yeah, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. I can't sugarcoat it. Haggis says, American money should not be taken from the Canadian government. You have your own money. We pay too much in taxes. Yeah, absolutely. We pay a lot in taxes. And one of the things, actually, Polyev was saying that with some of this tariff money, Canada should be looking at one, using all of it, none of it for government expenses, but using it to, for one, help support and stimulate the economy, and lower taxes to help people out. That was his idea. I'm not sure what the Trudeau remnants are thinking at this moment. Oh, I like that, Trudeau remnants. Valveman 12. Let's see. It was not Canadian, but British troops that invaded the capital city and set fire to several buildings, including the White House. That is true. That is true. But they were acting to defend Canada. So we'll let Canada keep the bragging on it as well. But it was British. Yes, absolutely. Why videos? Will the Canadian companies that have factories both sides of the border be exempted? No. Here's how that works. Why videos? So if you have a company in Canada, but you have a factory in the US, the stuff you produce in that factory in the US is not going to get tariffs on it, right? You can trade freely within the US. But let's say you want to ship raw materials between your two factories, those would be tariffed. So you can't move anything across the border, but if you've already got a factory in the US, everything you produce there, you can sell in the US tariff-free. So you're okay with that. But you will, of course, get tariffed on raw materials moving across the border. Ian says, I'm not looking forward to what the markets are going to do, but I can't change it. I'm going to ride it out 6 months, 6 years, hopefully 6 months. Yeah. Well, you never know. It might be 4 years before things start looking better. Oh, boy. Now this is going to be fun. John said last time Canada booed the anthem was the war in Iraq. Yikes. Is that real? Did we actually boo the anthem for that? Oh boy. Chad said, yes, the Snowbird base is located in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Their jets always fly by my house really low. Shakes my house when they buzz by. Oh boy. Bismarcky says, way to go, Senators, coming from a Leafs fan. Oh, there we go. Oh gosh, that's so good. Tariff is the most beautiful word in the world. WTO must be banned to operate. Oh boy. All right, let's see here. Spirit of 1812. We need asymmetrical trade war tactics. $1 for $1 tariffs stink. Ban Tesla and Starlink is a good idea. Need many ideas. Example, close Alaska Highway to Americans in BC, Yukon. Yeah, or at the very least, make it really hard to cross the border. There is that. And of course, there is the whole idea of the oil too. The nuclear option, as they say, but I don't think that'll get there. I know Danielle Smith does not want to do that because that would pretty much cripple the Alberta economy. And that's kind of an issue too. And Trudeau did sort of emphasize that he doesn't want to take actions that is going to hurt one region more than other regions. So something would have to be worked out. But here's the thing though, right? Let's say we do build more capacity to ship our oil to for now, probably Asia is the easiest way because we at least have the we got that trans pipeline that we can use to get stuff there. But if we open up and start trading outside of the United States, then we don't have to sell them as much. And then the United States might be kind of like, hey, we need more oil. And it's like, nope, you're not going to have it. Terry says, with us Canadians possibly selling off certain positions that are predicted to be weak, could this be positive news for Canadian utilities such as Bell, TELUS, and Rogers? What do you think there, eh? Yeah, I mean, there are companies. So we actually, the last channel member video, we did we took a look at Canadian companies that how they were going to be impacted by the tariff. So if you are a company that does not import and export, I'm going to say that both now because we have tariffs going both ways. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So that will certainly help your company out. Utilities are companies I think that will fare a little bit better through this. Now you take a company, I'll give you a good example, Fortis. So Fortis has a huge presence in the United States. And one of the interesting things is that that's all going to be fine because, it's not that they're not exporting, importing. They're doing utilities in the United States, and that will be a good source of stable income for them, as well as their income in Canada. So a company like Fortis, I think, will do fairly well through this whole process. But when you start to look like right now, and you guys know I love CNR, but they're going to face a little bit of, the whole fact that a lot of what they do is moving stuff across the border, CP as well. That's going to impact them. So you might see some really good buying points for CNR over the next little bit. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Chad says American cars are junk. Honda, Toyota are the best made vehicles. So there we go. Ian says the fentanyl excuse is good. He can say we upped border security, pull the tariffs, and claim victory. Yeah, and that's the thing. I'd be okay. Like, you know what? Hey, here's your little paper victory. Let's just end this. I'd be okay with that. What do you think will happen to Costco? Most items come from the USA. Yeah, now keep in mind, not all products will get tariffs when it comes to we're kind of targeting a little bit. Now, the big question is how many items will we see have tariffs on them? Like I noticed that they did publish a list, and it's like there was like 217 pages of items. So I didn't go through the whole list, obviously, but I noticed a lot of things, like a lot of meat, food type materials coming from the U.S. It looks like they're going to be tariffed. Alcohols, tobacco, things like that are being tariffed. There's going to be a lot of items in there. Larry says, wondering if Enbridge will get that pipeline through the native lands done faster now. It's hard to say. Maybe that would be a good thing. Sean says, yes, we need to get pipelines to both coasts. We need better friends to sell our energy to. Yeah, absolutely. Walmart laying off, Tesla 6,000 laying off, more laying off, major recession incoming. Yeah, I think that we do have a major recession incoming for sure. All right. Oh, I do see something here. We got another super sticker coming in from Y Videos. So that knocks the swag clock up to 2, and well, this means that they're the GOAT once again. They were the GOAT already, but they have extended their GOATness. So what can we say? Let's see. Trudeau blocked the oil and gas pipelines project. Quebec blocked major liquid natural gas projects. Yeah, this is going to change a lot of perspectives. This will absolutely change a lot of perspectives. So I think we definitely, any kind of trade barriers between provinces, they need to go stat. And we also need to start opening things up. We also need to start building processing plants. Canada has so many resources. Like with the amount of resources, natural resources we have, everything from critical elements, oil, water, we should be an economic superpower. We really should. And I think that this is going to be something that, it's not going to happen overnight, but I think it's going to push Canada in the right direction for sure. Let's see. Leandro says Quebec blocked the Energy East pipeline project, but they do allow oil coming in tankers, though. Okay, that's good. CPCNR, Dollarama, Cameco, Hydro One. All right. Let's see. Ian says ENCL is going to be a sad performer for a few quarters. It's like my number 4 position by dollar amount. Yeah, I think with that leverage on there, any retraction that we get in oil, you're gonna get hit harder. So yeah, I mean, if you're in the green, I would consider switching to ENCC. You'll get a little bit less income, but it'll fare a little bit better for sure. Sue says I have a fair mix of ENCL shares as well. Oh boy. Trump Putin is very good at bankruptcies. He's bankrupted a casino. How do you do that? I don't know. You put your color on the wrong number, maybe. Magpie says, says finger, hand. There we go. Let's see. Congrats for the record live viewers. Yeah, no, it's good to see triple digits. It's good to see triple digits for sure. Bleak says, big up. Been watching Next Gen for a bit now. Maybe time to pick up 100 to 200 shares. Interesting. Lisa says, should the current exchange rate affect someone's decision to buy U.S. stocks, assuming one has to convert and isn't sitting on U.S. cash? If you're planning to get U.S. stocks, I would move money sooner than later because that dollar is going to get even weaker. I mean, it's weak now. But if you're also doing it as well, I would consider, like, if you do not have if wherever you're using as a broker does not have a option to do like a Norbit's Gambit, I would maybe consider, grabbing setting up an account at National Bank or even Questrade. That way there you can do the Norbit's Gambit. So that way there you're getting, you're killing a lot of the fees on that as well, because with a weak dollar, you don't want to be paying a bunch of fees on top of that as well. Let's see, possible red tilt Nvidia earnings. Yeah, that's it's probably very probable. 103 live, 41 likes. Smash the like button, y'all. Yeah, guys, hit the like button. Hey, every time you hit the like button, it annoys Trump. Let's just say that. All right. Lisa says, I would like to add to my Google, Amazon, and Berkshire positions, but unsure due to poor exchange rate. Yeah, that's the one thing. Now, of course, mind you, one of the options that you can do is you can for example, use some of the CDRs to get into a lot of different positions as well. I mean, I think they're going to be fine. So those are your ones that come from, and actually have a news story. We haven't even touched the news yet. Well, we kind of have. We've been talking solely about this trade war up to now, but we still do have news. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'm in no hurry, guys. I'm in no hurry. Bismarcky, next Sunday is the Super Bowl. Ontario and Quebec should cut power to New York and Michigan just before kickoff. I love it. This is a great idea. Great idea. Funny Book says Canadian retirees are selling their Florida properties. Will this impact the Canadian real estate specifically? What about the tariffs impact on Canadian real estate? Well, that's the tariffs are not really going to impact. So selling your Florida properties, I mean, there's no tariffs involved in that. And with the US dollar being worth a lot more right now and the Canadian dollar being weak, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. So, I can see why some people are getting out of that. And heck, it might be a good idea. I always look at it this way here. This is a perfect time. If you've even been considering selling some US property that you have, this is a perfect time to do it for sure. So yeah, I like that idea. Canadian real estate, I think Canadian real estate is still going to have a half decent year. I mean, we'll have, of course, retractions and people will still have problems, but I think overall with the low rates that we're having this year, it will be good for Canadian real estate. And we'll have to see how it evens out, but they don't have a direct impact from the tariffs. Definitely collateral. Everything's going to have some collateral, just to sort of put it out there. Valve Man, DEI, Don Jr., Eric Ivanka. Yeah. Oh boy. I'll leave that one alone, but yeah, that's still funny. JJ is in the house. Ian says, we can't beat the Americans by economic force. They need to change their minds on their own. It will take time. Yeah, no, we're not going to win an economic battle with them. Pretty much what we're doing is we're kind of, we're sort of bunkering down until either Trump gets sick of his attack on Canada, or maybe there's enough public pressure to eventually get him to back down, or to take whatever win he can have out of it without, and then leave us alone, like leave us completely alone. That would be kind of nice. All right. Let's see. Narayanan says, hey, I'm completely new to investing. I want to know if there will be an impact on the S&P 500 ETF like VFV, XEQT. Yes, there will be. There will be some impact. I mean, they will retrace, but if anything, it's going to be a good buying point. So they will be fine long-term because they'll bounce back. They're all going to come back after this is over. In fact, a lot of people, if you're looking for exposure to the U.S. market, VFV, I mean, if we get a nice retracement on that, it's going to be a good buying opportunity for sure. Or XEQT, and I do love XEQT. So somebody asked me, actually in the last stream, they said, if there's only one stock you could ever buy, and I flipped it to an ETF and said it would be XEQT because, you're getting your US exposure, your Canadian exposure, your European exposure, your Australian exposure, you're getting Asian exposure, emerging market exposure. It's just a really, really good ETF. Let's see. Also, is there any chance that NAFTA will be completely abolished? I would almost say it is. I wouldn't say abolished. Like we will have another NAFTA. Maybe not until after this administration, though, from the looks of things. But once Trump is no longer president, I'm sure that relations will normalize depending on what happens. I mean, I know that. It's funny. He's been floating everything from, we should make it illegal for me to have a third term. Well, let's face it, he's pretty darn old. I think in 4 years. I don't think he'll be in shape enough to run the country. And some people could even argue now that he's really showing his age. Jordan says, went to Walmart today and half the shelves were empty. Just people panic shopping or products being pulled. I don't know. It might be. I mean, the tariffs are coming, and here's the funny thing: a lot of people, I imagine there'll be stores that will take advantage. I don't want to say that it'll happen. I don't know if Walmart will be, but there will be stores that will start raising prices ahead of time before things. Like, I look at it this way: if I have the inventory, if I was a store owner and I had that inventory that I got before the tariffs were applied, I'm not going to mark my prices up. I'll mark my prices up as that inventory is replaced by new inventory that came in at the higher pricing. But some, as soon as the pricing goes up, they'll just change it right away and they'll get a bunch of extra profits. I don't think that's right, but I'm not running a store, so what can I say? Ian says, we can't beat the Americans by economic force. They need to change their minds on their own. It will take time. Oh, I read that one already. All right. No, and I read that one too. All right. Somehow normally it keeps track of where I'm at for me, and some reason it jumped back. So, okay. Let's see. It is interesting. Putin blames Canada and Mexico for fentanyl because he said we have weak borders. Well, in order to get into the U.S., it has to go through the U.S. border. So, yeah, I mean, that's a thing. It's their border, too. And, they're just as much to blame as we are for that border. But, I mean, it is, the whole idea of that border is that it's the largest undefended border in the world. It's something to be proud of, but now it's not so much undefended anymore. I know Canada has already put in, I believe it's $1.3 billion into extra security for the border. And amazingly too, any people who have been caught taking fentanyl across the border, they're not Canadians, they're actually American. So just think about that for a minute. Cowboy says, we have a deep water port at Churchill, Manitoba. Avoid the Quebec problem altogether. Okay, that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. I mean, utilize the waterways that we do have. I mean, you can also send a lot of stuff through the Great Lakes as well and out through the Gulf of St. Lawrence. He hasn't tried to rename. Well, actually, that one's totally on Canada's side. He can't rename that one. Chad says, panic shopping, boycott Walmart, Home Depot, shop Canadian stores. Yeah. I mean, now if you have that choice about buying Canadian or American, buy Canadian. Let's support Canadians. Let's see. Larry says Tesla is only up from hype from the administration influence in the earnings call last year when he assumed interest rates would drop. Can't say everything I know with friends going to board meetings. Yeah, absolutely. Volter saying Tesla will be hit hard the next few quarters. I'm picking my puts on Monday. It may not be a bad idea though. Chat says, in June, July for Tesla self-driving promise again. I'll believe it when I see it. That's what I'm saying about Tesla and their self-driving. Let's see. I also think the whole ordeal will get Elon to step down from Tesla. Watch and see. I don't even know how Elon's so busy messing in all these politics. How does he even have time to show his face at Tesla? I mean, I don't know. He probably should step down. Sean says, here's food for thought. If avocados from Mexico have a 25% tariff to the U.S., do they again get another 25% tariff from the U.S. to Canada? Technically, no, they shouldn't. Like if you're shipping straight from Mexico, now let's say we're using CP Rail, but at the same time, you're crossing that. That's a good question. That is a question I'd have to actually look into, see if they would be charging. But from my understanding, if the destination is not the U.S., they shouldn't be charging a tariff on it. And Canada shouldn't be charging a tariff as well in a situation like that. But we'll have to see how this all gets ironed out. But I don't think they should. All right. Unicorn says, how about Enbridge? Yike. Poor Enbridge. All right. Ooh, why videos? Gifted a Mountain Finance membership. And guys, I did say that if you gift a membership, it also counts. It also counts to knock our little ticker up. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Thank you very much. Who won? Let me see here. Ron won. Congratulations, Ron. Awesome. All right. Ian says, I'm down 5.5% on ENCL. What I'm concerned about is possibly unlikely or is possible likely dividend cuts. Yeah. I mean, they will cut a little bit. I mean, as they go down, but I could tell you how much they're going to cut. Yeah, if you get that opportunity to move. Now, the nice thing though about oil is even though things are looking bad right now, all it takes is a good world crisis to that could potentially peak oil to get you back in the green. But yeah, you kind of have to make a call on whether or not you want to eat that 5.5%, move it to something safer, or worst case, or I say ride it out, but that leverage makes it really, really difficult. Bismarcky says, with the poor money, should we not just buy VFV or ZQQ? I think VFV is a good, is definitely a good investment. It'll go down as the whole market goes down, but it'll be fine on the other end. ZQQ, another one, I think that will be fine. Like I'm still very, very bullish on tech. So I think we have some interesting stuff. I think we have some interesting stuff ahead of us. I think finance and investing is going to get very interesting as we sort of maneuver what this is all going to look like. All right, get rich shorts. Time to load your favorite ETFs. Covered call index funds are my favorite, and distributions will be making me feel good during red bloodshed. Yeah, that was one of the nice things in the bear market is, when you do have those dividends coming in, they give you a little bit of an extra step in your morning, especially when that's the first thing you see, a nice little email saying, you got a dividend. I love it. All right. Vancouver Isle guy, Kevin, good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. Y video says, if there are market overreactions, we could have good buying opportunities as usual. Yeah, absolutely. Lisa says, I'm praying for VFV to drop. Let's see. Kevin says, been a while. China controls the Vancouver port. It's common knowledge here. They control the housing market. Also, the money laundering fines on TD Bank is all part of this. Yikes. How do you think Canoe will be affected? Canoe holds energy stocks, so they'll definitely be affected from that. I think they'll have, I believe, be kind of like they won't be impacted big, but they'll be impacted more of a medium impact. They also have health stocks and financials in there as well. So, and also Canoe is really well managed. So, they will probably right now, they're probably going to be shifting with their next balance a little bit more into some fixed income. They tend to do that as they start to move towards bad economies. Mr. T says, Trump said to impose more tariff if Canada retaliates. Does that mean there will be another 25% on top of the announced 25%? Well, he hasn't. Yeah, he did say that there would be a retaliation. And if I had to guess, I would guess that he'd just double it. He seems to like doing things like that. That's kind of like with the whole situation with Colombia. He initially put 25% and he was planning to double it in a week. So that would not surprise me. I hope he doesn't double it. And maybe if he does decide to do that, I imagine him doubling it, but he might leave energy alone because, I think he knows how much he needs that Canadian oil, despite the lies that he says they don't need Canadian oil at all. Y video says, Jordan, I would bet on panic shopping. Yep, absolutely. Quebec Hydro said 100% tariff on hydro to USA, 3 major cities, including New York City and 2 others. That would be interesting. Wayne says, I'm in the US. Hate to tell you that my neighbors and others could not give a damn about Canada. You can't argue with them. They are convinced by Trump's reasons. Yee. And there's a lot of people in the US that are like that. But, now, Wayne, are you in a red state? Well, I think most of the states are considered red nowadays. But yeah, there's a lot of Americans that don't actually even know anything about Canada. So that's absolutely true. Let's see. Maybe Americans should get off the damn drugs. All right. Chad says, Wayne and I don't give two flying those things about the USA. Let's see. BC is full of fentanyl factories. I'm sure some of it is going to the US. Oh, yeah. And I actually have heard that there has been, I know the RCMP have been concerned that there's been more fentanyl factories popping up. So, yeah, we need to put an end to that. Like, people die because of things that are laced with fentanyl. They don't even choose to take fentanyl, but it's not good. Oh, Canada. I love it. I love it. Let's see. I sold all my Tesla stock after Musk gave the Nazi salute. No thanks. Yeah, that was definitely odd. And I think a lot. Actually, I think was it a German Tesla company? I think they put hail, Musk on, or hail Elon or something on the, or hail Tesla on the side of their Tesla building. I heard something like that. I was just like, dear gosh. Yeah, that was a bad choice. Bad choice by Elon, for sure. Vancouver Isle guy, Kevin says, been a while. That penalty's been removed for all illicit drugs here in BC. Let's see. Chad says, I'll be selling all of my Tesla too tomorrow. All right. Mr. T says, Wayne Smith and I love to tell you what I do, not give a damn about the arrogant U.S. either. USA has nothing else to offer except the infinite printing of dollar and inflation export to the world. Yikes. Yeah. Let's see. Congrats, Ron. And this says, how do you think this will impact companies like DIV and FRU? Well, DIV, so Diversified Dividend, they most of the things that they have are Canadian companies that they're holding the royalties for. So I think they should be fine. They shouldn't be impacted big time. But FRU, a lot of the royalties they do hold are in energy and gas, so they'll have a bigger impact. So FRU could definitely be hurt a little bit more, for sure. Let's see. FRU in Swedish means wife. There we go. I honestly don't know a lot of Swedish. I don't think I now know one word in Swedish. Fru means wife. There we go. Kevin says, I'll be buying more Tesla on the dip. Buying LIF iron ore royalties also. Yeah, LIF. Yeah, they have iron ore royalties. They're actually based out of Newfoundland. So I do like LIF. Let's see. How bad an ETF like Brompton's GDV you think will be impacted? I mean, everything is going to be impacted, at least initially, as we get this fear and people start going, oh God, we are going to see things fall. We are going to see things fall. We will, of course, going into a recession, there will be impacts on a lot of things. If anything, I think right now, I think I would have two different views. One would be, all right, let's start shoring up my defensive investing. And two is going to be, let's start looking for, or let's just start, building up my cash position so that when we do get into that recession, and if we get a bear market, and we probably will get a bear market, let's see what deals are available. Because, if you buy a lot of really good stuff when this thing is at the peak, 4 or 5 years from now, you'll have some pretty nice profits. Indeed. That's kind of what I'm sort of looking at with this. Jay says, I bought some SMVP new from Hamilton, 0 fees till 2026, all blue chip stocks and pays dividends. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. All right. Gold is up. Gold is going to be one of those other things. Gold is going to be one of those other places that in times when things go, when the poop hits the fan, gold starts climbing. So yeah, if you got a lot of gold investments, gold, silver, they're probably going to have a good week. And 9 is still hoarding cash. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not a bad time. Not a bad time at all. Let's see. AQN has a new CEO. Blessings be upon him to right the ship. Yes, I hope so. I really would love to see Algonquin, head back to some of their glory days. Now they have a lot of regulated utilities in the U.S. and that's that is money. That is a solid safety net for them. I never would have expected it to have been as low as it is, but I do think AQN long term does have a chance. I haven't written them off, even though even though I like to call them my favorite dumpster fire stock right now, but they won't always be a dumpster fire. Let's see. Buddha says, I never bet against Tesla. Also was not a Nazi salute. He was super excited and is just a goofy fellow. Yeah, that's one interpretation. And that's how I took it. I didn't take it as a Nazi salute personally, but I think I just think it was bad timing. I know it has annoyed a lot of people for sure, but I sort of took it as he was just doing excited, doing dumb things. You know, but yeah, it was different. It was different. Let's see. I feel so bad about what Trump is doing. Voted for Kamala. Oh yeah, sorry, Kamala. I was surprised. Honestly, and this is the interesting thing going into that election. I thought it was Kamala. I thought she was going to take it. I really did. But mind you, every time Trump has become the president, I actually thought Hillary was going to win back then as well. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. With all this chatting, you will be able to do your other news. I'm curious. Of course, I'm going to do all my. We'll get to the other news. We'll get to the other news. I will probably in a little bit just put a pause on the chat and get out a news story, and then we'll jump back in. But we're going to get it. We're going to get it for sure. Ian says if he has energy. Okay, if he says energy is exempt from the tariffs, we will see a big jump in ENCL, EMB, or at least I would think. Yeah, like right now, it is a 10% on them. I think if he does retaliate, I think he'll raise the tariff on everything but energy. I think that might be safe at 10%. But we're talking Trump. Sometimes you can't predict what he's going to do. Leonardo says, I got a big list of equivalency grocery products made in Canada to buy Canadian when I go grocery shopping. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Need to sell my Tesla car. Yikes. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to take that stance. All right. Let's see here. Why videos? Candace, you probably know more Swedish words than you think if you go to IKEA. Yeah, probably. I just can't think of any of them off the top of my head other than right now, Fru, wife. There we go. HHIS is a new ETF that holds large companies like Meta, Tesla, nicely diversified, and will pay 25 a share. Good time to buy. It is new. It is new. I mean, if things get really, really bad, they will cut their dividend a little bit, but it'll still be a very good dividend, even if it were cut a little bit. So yeah, I think it's I think I do like that ETF for sure. Sell your Tesla, buy or bought a Volkswagen. I like Volkswagen. Do you think Bitcoin will go back down to 70K? Not from this. I think when Bitcoin goes into the next crypto winter, it might get down to 80. It could get down to 70, but my feelings are that if we do get, like, I think we're going to top in this cycle. I think we're going to top at 130, and then I think we're going to go into a crypto winter. And I was thinking about 80, but it might wick down to 70. It's never going to go all the way down to like 20 again. I mean, those days are just absolutely gone. All right. Michael Music says, I don't have too much to add, but thank you so much for all the learning journey, all the likes and the subscribe. I just bought ENCL a couple months ago, and it started going down. 21K holding for the long, though. Oh, yeah. That's always, hopefully it can turn around. But that's that big danger. There's always a danger when you have the leveraged ones, right? When they go down a little bit harder. So that is something to keep in mind. Kevin says, buy the dip. This will be shortly lived trade war. What are the reasons for BTC to drop? Well, more or less panic. Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin wants to be a hedge and, a place of safety, it's not quite there yet. There are some investors that will, they will move out. They'll move into gold because gold has, has been a proven hedge against uncertainty in the market. Bitcoin's not there yet. So you could see Bitcoin drop a little bit for that reason. All right. Let's see. The racists and woke took it as a Nazi salute. Okay. I don't know about, I'm gonna leave the whole Elon salute thing out of the chat for now. I think we've covered it enough. What is your play on this tariff news? What are you eyeballing on Monday? Stellantis, Magna. I don't know if I'm going to buy anything. I might buy something on Monday, but right now, what's going to happen Monday going into this week, I think it's all fear because, it's going to take time for the actual ill effects of these tariffs to really start hitting. But yeah, I'm going to sort of hold off Monday unless I see something I can't resist. Right now, I don't think I'm buying anything on Monday. Wayne says, anybody following BlackBerry up 90% since August? Yeah. So the next video coming out on Tuesday, it's a 0 to 100K challenge, but I did add BlackBerry for that. BlackBerry, I think, is in a really interesting spot right now because they're a major player when it comes to quantum, when it comes to basically password protection. And I think BlackBerry might be relevant again. So, I'm on board. I'm on board for BlackBerry. All right. Let's see. All right. XEG is good if you are worried about leverage on ENCL. Yeah, absolutely. I do like XEG. That is one of my favorite energy ETFs. Looking for a dip in Tesla to load up some more shares. Let's see. The future has not opened yet, but Canadian bullion dealers already factored in 1.47 4x rate. Interesting. Here we go. We got ourselves another super. All right, guys, it's time to move the swag fuse up, and that does mean that Y videos once again, you're the goat. You are the goat. I only got 3 goat animations, and you got them all today. You got them all. All right. Elon has pre-seen a possible trade war and is positioned very well to not be affected much at all. Well, that's possible. That's possible. I think everybody knows that the trade war was coming. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody. Let's see. Any investor that had done their due diligence knows this. Let's see. Why videos? Because they are scared with market uncertainty and people taking profits off the table and going less risky investment. All right. Oh my God, guys, I finally caught up. Tesla, cheapest car, 58K. China, cheapest 10K, and better battery as well. All right, guys, that means we can actually hit our first news article of the day. So, guys, we had, of course, the Bank of Canada this week. This is normally big news, right? But it's been completely overshadowed by the tariffs. But the Bank of Canada did cut our interest rates down to 3% from 3.25%. So we did get a cut, which is fantastic. Now, this is a really interesting one. Normally, the Bank of Canada will give us some forward guidance on where they're going. Not this time. In fact, this is what Tiff Macklem said. He said, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and it just didn't seem useful to provide guidance. So in other words, they're going to sit and wait. Now, they did say that in regards to the tariffs, in a worst case scenario, they could simultaneously send the Canadian economy into a recession later this year and push inflation higher. So, and we've already been talking about that. We kind of know that's going to be the effects of what's going on right now. So what can we say? Now, if we didn't have these tariffs, Canada was expected to have a pretty strong year. But as as we all know, these tariffs are changing everything. Macklin went on to say that it's unclear exactly how how Canada's economy is going to respond to tariffs because policymakers don't know how steep the restrictions could be, and if we get, of course, retaliations, it's going to get pretty tight. It's not too good, that's for sure. Now, the U.S. also had their rate decision, and they paused, and we all knew they were going to pause. So once again, Canada lowering the rate, U.S. pausing. This has put us more and more out of sync with the U.S. rate. So there is that potential for more impact on the Canadian dollar, but we got a trade war that's gonna pretty much overshadow everything else. So I'm not super yeah, I'm not super worried right now about that. Y Video says that cut is welcome. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're in that position where you're going to be renewing a mortgage soon, and that's a question I have. I've had people reach out to me and ask me mortgage questions, and my response is, likely the Bank of Canada is not going to look at raising rates, not with what the damage to the economy is going to be. They really can't. They really can't. I think the economy is going to trump everything. So we may see a couple more rate cuts this year, believe it or not, even with prices going up. But I don't think we'll see as many as we would have seen if these tariffs had not come along. Let's see. Might Magna dip below $55? Or is the fear already priced in? MG was recently upgraded by RBC. They're going to dip. I don't know if they'll get down that far. Keep in mind, a lot of the fear is not priced in because the fact that Trump is considering retaliation, that wasn't even released until yesterday. So there hasn't been time to factor that in or to price it in. So yeah, there is that possibility. I can't guarantee it, but I think there's a possibility that we're going to see some pretty big dips. I was going to say drips. A couple of big dips tomorrow. Y Video says, I have variable mortgage and margin, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting. All right. Oh, we're slowly getting along. All right. Now, of course, the big news last week was Deepseek. So Deepseek threw our markets into a tizzy on Monday. So we did get a huge tech sell-off following, of course, the news about Deepseek. So Deepseek is a Chinese AI startup, and they reportedly built an AI model that is just as good, if not better, than models that are currently available by OpenAI and Google. And the big thing is, they trained these models at a fraction of the price. That's what's got everybody a little bit worried. Now, interestingly enough, the company claims that training its Deepseek version 3 model required less than $6 million worth of computing power from Nvidia's cheaper and older H800 chips. Now, this, of course, has sent a little bit of shockwaves in the market. So Nvidia, their stock fell 17%. That was on Monday. That wiped out about $589 billion from their market value. The CEO, so Jensen Huang, personally lost about $20.8 billion. Holy banana bread! And that was basically the single biggest day loss for the company, pretty much ever. Now, allegations, of course, soon surfaced, and this is what's interesting, guys, that Deepseek may have appropriated some of OpenAI's property, let's just say. So it started with some prompts in Deepseek. So not DeepSync, but Deepseek. So people had asked it what it was, and it was returning. It was basically saying, I'm just a large language model made by OpenAI. That rose some bells. That rose some people's interest very, very quickly. So OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is claiming that they have solid proof that the China-based startup reverse engineered some of its technology to create this model. So Deepseek AI may have broken intellectual property rules and regulations in place while training and developing their AI model. So this kind of took the wind out of Deepseek's sail. It's still going to go on. It's still going to go on. But what can we say? What can we say? I personally think one of the other positive side effects from this is that it's kind of inspired the current leaders to maybe work a little bit harder to push AI a little bit faster. So it's lit a fire under a few butts for sure. All right, Kevin says we need to stay talking into our natural resources, building the pipeline, mine our materials, build up our military, and become wealthy and self-sufficient. Yeah, there's absolutely. And yeah, Deepseek was all a lie. Yeah, it's I'll I was kind of skeptical right from the get-go on Deepseek, but it did spark some fears for sure. Now, mind you, the red we saw last Monday from Deepseek, I think we're going to see worse tomorrow. Let's see, Seventh Orbit says tariffs do not apply to Canadian ONG if it is just transported through the U.S. for export. There we go. Meaning tariffs only apply to actual consumption within the U.S. borders. And that's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking. That was, of course, in regard to the avocado question coming from Mexico through the U.S. into Canada. So there we go. Thank you, Seventh. Thank you. That's awesome. Let's see. Vancouver says no need for us to rely on anyone else. Them times like this won't matter as much. Also have free trade within our own provinces. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oblivious when they say it only costs $6 million. Ian says, I would not take Deepseek's word for it when it comes to the cost of development. Also heard they used illegally sourced chips. Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, the DeepSeek thing was just, too good to be true for one right away. And you guys know, if something's too good to be true, it's pretty much fake good, I guess. We'll call it that. Let's see. Is it good to hold bull chip tech stocks such as Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, Google, and Amazon with this market uncertainties? They're going to go down. That's a thing. I mean, you have to sort of decide on how long you want to hold. Like if you're not going to get, given to like fear, uncertainty, and doubt, things like that, they'll be fine on the other side. Like everything is going to be fine on the other side of this, other than, and this is what I say, and I say this all the time, when you start looking at penny stocks, when you start looking at small caps, and keep in mind, penny stocks and small caps, separate things. Penny stocks, dangerous as can be because a lot of them won't survive. Small caps, more will survive than the penny stocks, but you want to be a little bit more careful in there. But when you start looking at your blue chip stocks, your foundation hold forever stocks, those are the things that will basically be your key defensive stocks. And those are the ones that, yeah, they'll go down. Of course, they're going to go down, but they will come back. And you will be in the green again. You may have to. I mean, if we go into a bear market, you could have to wait a year before you see yourself back in the green. But if you're out there buying that dip, if you're buying when they're down or DCAing through it, it's going to lower your adjusted cost base, and you'll be in the green faster than somebody who's just holding on for dear life, waiting for that green to finally come back. Because there are people, guys, there are investors who market goes bad, goes red, and they get scared, and they just hold on and they hold on and they wait until things are back in the green. But once things are back in the green, all of that profit making opportunity is gone. And then those investors start buying again because they're in the green. So they're never getting the big profits. So sometimes that's what you want to do. You want to just grab things while they're deep in the red. And that's where the big money is made when it comes to investing. Buddha, they have 50,000 Nvidia GPUs and spent 1.6 billion. There we go. That's sounding a little bit more reasonable. Cowboy, China recognizes no patents or intellectual property rights. Yeah, that's pretty, it's kind of true. The Magnificent Seven will hold up way better than anything else. And I am big on the Magnificent Seven and AI. This is not going to stop AI. The AI advancements are still coming, and I think AI is going to blow everybody's mind. Oops, I almost missed this one. Why videos? Let's see. That's what I heard too. Kevin says it's obvious 25% of Nvidia's market is from small Singapore, as well-known hub for goods going to China. All right. Now, guys, the next story is actually, ironically, the next story is, of course, about the trade war. I wanted to talk a tiny bit about the Canadian aid package that they're looking at putting together. So basically, in a nutshell, they're basically preparing to roll out a multi-billion-dollar relief package to offset the economic impact of these U.S. tariffs on, of course, Canadians, if it's necessary. And we kind of know it probably is going to be necessary. So the size of the package will reportedly depend on the scope of the tariffs. And right now they're pretty bad, and they're probably going to get worse. The package is meant to help Canadians who have been laid off, allow affected businesses to stay open, and ease the pressure of higher consumer prices. Okay, so far, I mean, that sounds good. I mean, their goals sound good. So, of course, to do this, though, they can't just do it. They do have to reestablish, they have to reopen, they have to open Parliament, because it would have to be passed through Parliament, because this is a big spending bill. So they have to open up Parliament. Now, that does not resume until March 24th. But honestly, the impacts are probably going to come probably after that. You're not going to see the mass layoffs immediately. You might see some, like there may be some stores that are sort of front loading things, say, okay, we know things are going to get bad. Let's lay some people off now to save money, to be better prepared. So right now they're thinking about 10% of jobs in Canada depend on exporting to the US. So that's a pretty big chunk. Doug Ford in Ontario, he's actually anticipated 500,000 layoffs in Ontario alone. And they've also calculated that for the regular Canadian family, it's going to cost about $1,900 a year. I think that's a low number. So I definitely think that is a low number for sure. Now, one of the interesting things about that, and when we first heard about this, I was like, oh God, it's like the pandemic. It's like the pandemic. We're going to print a whole bunch of money. But then I was thinking more about it. And it's like, well, it doesn't have to be like the pandemic. We could entirely fund this thing from the tariffs. That's the thing. If you use the tariff money to pay for these supports and not do other stuff, I know the Liberals like to spend money, but if you were to use the tariffs, we could pull this off. It's basically taking all of the tariffing and giving it back to the people who need it. That could work without putting ourselves in a big money printing situation and being forced to have the Bank of Canada take a bunch of bonds and stuff. It could work. It could work. So I know initially I was very poo-poo on it, but I'm not as poo-poo now, because if they do it right, if they use those tariffs to do it, it's doable. So we'll leave that to the government. I hate leaving anything to the government, but we will leave that to the government to get that right. Oh boy. All right. Vancouver Isle guy says, great thing for Nvidia. Buddha says, Candace, you think bear will come this year? I was optimistic under Trump. Even he is ruffling feathers. It's going to be interesting. I think there's a chance. I think Canada will see a recession. The U.S. maybe. If the U.S. sees a recession, it'll take a bit longer. I don't think the U.S. will get a recession in 2025, but I think Canada definitely will. With our economy just can't handle this. The U.S. economy, much more resilient. They can definitely weather a lot more than we can. Now, a bear market, here's the thing. We could have a situation where we see a bear market in Canada, and we don't get a bear market in like the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. We could see a TSX bear market sort of as a separate. Now, normally we're in step with the US, right? Normally a bear market, we got the S&P down, we also got the Canadian market down. But this would be kind of a different kind of scenario. Now we could see a bear market though in the United States, depending on how these companies are all impacted. We could. It's kind of one of these interesting things. Like that's why I'm kind of saying like we'll see a recession. We may see a bear market. Like I think we'll definitely see a bear market by 2016 at the latest, and that's both sides of the border. But I think we could see sort of like a small bear market ahead of time, almost like a baby bear market before the bear market in Canada, just because of some of the impacts here. But we'll, like I said, we're going to watch this and sort of evaluate it as it goes. I would absolutely love to be absolutely wrong. I hope everything I said today is wrong. That's what I'm saying. I hope everything I said is wrong because that would be that would be a best case scenario. Let's see. Is that the demand is 15 to 1 for their chips? Okay. All right. Still talking about the chips there. Bismarck says, I bet Trump turtles once the markets are down 10% and auto workers are out of work. I hope so. I hope so. Or, Trump is not. See, here's the thing. Trump will double down unless he has a way to get out of it and claim a victory or manufacture a victory. He will do that. He will absolutely do that. We've seen him do that time and time again. And he might. He might. Let's see. Like I said last, it's time for coffee, guys. Okay. Let's see. Stream all this will backfire in his face. There's a good chance. There is a good chance for sure. Let's see. Huge demand. Jevon's paradox economic therapy that states economic therapy, right? We might need economic therapy, guys. But yeah, okay. Huge demand. Jevon's paradox economic theory that states that increased efficiency in using a resource can lead to increased demand for that resource. Yeah. And here's something else, guys. We have had situations like you guys will hear, you probably will hear this. If you watch any economic videos on YouTube, they will often bring up the tariffs that at one point were on washing machines. So the US had put some tariffs on some washing machines. I can't remember where they were from, but here's the interesting thing. So the price went up on the washing machines because of the tariffs. Well, the competitors to these foreign washing machines, they actually rose their prices because it's like, hey, their prices are up, we can raise our prices too. So even though there was no tariffs on the domestic machines, they went up. In addition to that, because when you buy a washing machine, you usually buy a dryer too. The prices on the dryers went up as well. So sometimes, that's just the way capitalism works. So we could see, you can see prices rising on things that are not tariffed as a result. They can move sort of in lock and step with some of the tariffed items. So that's another concern as well. So, you gotta love rising prices. You gotta love them. Not really, but oh boy. Cowboy, we have unemployment insurance for layoffs. Why print money and make the economy worse? The dollar will be a quarter. Well, that's a thing, Cowboy. And that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, we got unemployment insurance. Use that. But, if this goes longer, I mean, we'll need more money, also stimulating the economy. But if they're taking that from the tariffs, right, they don't have to print money. That's, I would rather them take the tariff money and do that with it than, use it for whatever else the government likes to waste money on. So as long as that tariff money is coming back to help the people, that's a little bit better. And even Polyev in his thing today said, look, use that tariff money to help people, start lower like the federal income tax, lower it. You can, you've got the tariff money to make up for that. And that would be a good thing. I'd love to see taxes come down during this event. Now, mind you, knowing Canadian governments, they'll go back up on the other side, but it would be nice if they went down during this thing. I mean, they have the tariff money that's going to be coming in. Let's see. Kevin says, this is because the cost of using the resource decreases, which can stimulate more consumption. That makes sense. Let's see. AI's erase those who don't buy more chips fall behind. Yeah, they fall behind pretty fast. The Simple Sage says, should I sell my Canadian stocks? That's always a good question. If they're blue chip, you're going to be fine on the other end. They're going to go down. No, no lies about that. It's like, yeah, they're going down, but they will come back up. But if you have more, sort of small cap stocks or more speculative, those are the ones you might want to move out of, depending on how bad this gets, because those are the ones that, maybe some of those companies may not survive. So it is something to think about. And there will be people that will move into cash positions. I will usually say, you know what, if you're deep into profit right now on a stock and you want to move into a cash position, that's ideal. Um, you may be foregoing some, future profit. It's hard to say though. And this is the interesting thing. This is a new scenario. Like we've had tariffs before, but nothing of this nature. So it's going to be fun to watch, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with getting defensive with your investing. I'm probably going to be looking to get a little more defensive myself as well. So it's interesting. All right, let's see. Kevin says the US GDP is 10 times larger than ours. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Tariff money will never help us. Same as carbon tax. Well, they should cut that carbon tax right now. They really should. But it depends on the government. But that's what they should be doing. Like, you can't. Well, they don't have a choice, right? If we have that much unemployment that comes out of it, you have to sort of look. You have to sort of look and say, what kind of social unrest will we have if we don't do anything? So they do have to do something. And I think in this case, they are going to provide some amount of support. Let's see. Chad says, why buy Canadian stocks if you're going to sell? What changed since you bought? Canada will be fine. Yeah, Canada's going to be fine on the other end as well. All right. Temperance Ministry says, gold will do well in the recession, but I think this chip bubble needs to burst. It doesn't make sense. AI is going to need so much energy. There's no way we can meet that demand without renewables. Well, there is a way. It's called nuclear. And there is, I actually have a nuclear story ahead for you guys. But a lot of people are moving more and more into nuclear and renewables. Yeah, you're right on the nose. Like, imagine if we created big solar farms in the deserts, where the sun is shines more times than it's not shining. So there is places that we could be making, we could be making a lot of energy, and that stuff from the sun, that sunlight, that's pure energy and it's free. So let's take advantage. Let's see. Ohio Whirlpool, it saved them. Why Video says, last year you seem to tolerate the hot sauce to bomb better than last time. Well, keep in mind, Why Videos. I had a significantly larger amount of the bomb this time around. So yeah, no, last year, I mean, there was a bit, and plus there was food with it. So yeah, no, taking a teaspoon of the bomb, and actually, I was actually impressed. Like, it was hot, but yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot this time, but I didn't get hiccups or any of the really bad stuff. So those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, in the last live, so Friday, I took a teaspoon of the bomb on the air. So that was the if you see that thing up top that says swag, we were doing that, but for the bomb. So they got to 25, and I had to do it. All right. Kevin says, buy the CNQ. I love CNQ. FRULIF dips is also what I'm doing. Dollar cost average slowly in then. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. And that's the thing, guys. This will be investing wise. This is an opportunity to get in cheaper on a lot of stocks, because they're all going to be good on the other side of this. That's always something to keep in mind. But I'll tell you, a lot of people will be watching things fall, and they're going to be like, oh my God, what is going on? Don't give in to the fear. Just, if anything, if you're looking at your favorite stock, like if you're looking at CNQ and you see them going down tomorrow, You could, I'll be more or less saying, go lower, go lower. I want to get in at a really good price. So just something to sort of keep in mind. Steven says, what about selling blue chip now and rebuying in a few weeks? Well, it depends on where it is, right, Steven? If it's in your TFSA, well, you can't rebuy in a few weeks. You got to wait 31 days. Otherwise, they'll start low. The CRA will look at you like you're day trading. You don't want that. But yeah, I mean, you could buy, if you're buying a different blue chip in a couple of weeks, maybe. But here's the thing: what if some of those blue chip that you sell do a little bit better than we think? Because keep in mind, the drops that we're going to see right now are going to be fear based. So yeah, if you get a lot of fear this week and things go down pretty far, yeah, there's nothing wrong with selling them and then buying something back when things recover. But keep in mind, just if it's in your TFSA, just make sure you're not buying the same thing. So for example, if your Bank of Nova Scotia stocks go down tomorrow, you could sell Bank of Nova Scotia. And then, if next week things are back up and things have calmed out a little bit, then instead of buying Bank of Nova Scotia, buy CIBC, or Royal Bank. Maybe even TD, because TD seems to be doing a little bit better now with their new leadership. Let's see. Temperance says, telecoms are always dropping. Not sure why they continue to drop, but surely they will come back in favor. Thinking of of Rogers, Bell, and Telus. Should be defensive plays. Can't decide which one, so buying all three. Yeah, I mean, Bell had a rough time of it. And one of the biggest issues with the telecom companies, here are some of the issues. They don't have a lot of places to expand to. And plus, they have been spending a lot of money upgrading to 5G. Now they've got the urban upgrade is done. It's now basically rural that they're still upgrading. So they've been doing better than it appears when you look at the stocks because of the amount of outflow of cash that it's been costing them to get everything upgraded. So that's something to think about. I think they're going to be fine. Like in another, probably towards the end of this year, you're going to probably see a little bit of recovery. Now, I have been buying BCE every month in the challenge because I'm going to ride it up because I do think on the other side it's going to be fine. And also, Bell, for example, has been investing into the U.S. So that's always an interesting thing there because that is a market that they can expand into. Let's see. Candace, do you think this black swan event that will cause the market correction that has been said to be long overdue? What's your prediction on the bond market? Well, if we get all chaos breaking out, and let's say we do go into another bear market, bonds will look good. I know a lot of people, like, yields are down. Yields have been down recently because what happens when people buy bonds, it tends to drop the yields because the bonds are more popular. So yeah, there is that possibility, like bonds may be an option down the road, especially if we start going into, and I know Nine has been investing heavily into a bond ETF. So, all right, let's see, deep stink. I love that. All right. Let's see, 100% nuclear and generators are already being built. Yes, absolutely. AI is not going anywhere. No, it definitely isn't. Temperance, yeah, nuclear is good stuff. Nuclear is a good shout. Nuclear just scares people rightly or wrongly. It's not scaring people as much anymore, though. And we've been having weekly, like I think this week I got another nuclear story. I think this is the third week in a row with a nuclear story. Let's see. Candace, you are building your tolerance to the heat. I think so. It's like, actually, funny little story. I was watching Hot Ones and recently, and Demi Moore went on Hot Ones. And she quite literally went through everything, even the bomb and the Hot Ones. And she was like, oh, these were kind of underwhelming. So I was like, okay, this is a girl who can really handle her heat. Like, I don't even think she had an expression against a bomb. She was just like, whatever. So I thought that was interesting. Chad said, should always have bonds in your portfolio. Yeah, you should always have a certain level of of fixed income, and bonds are definitely a good option for that. Let's see, timing the market is impossible. That's why dollar cost averaging is one of the best ways to go for sure. Are you selling? Others are. Okay, let's see here. I wonder how this will affect crypto. Also, since it's been generally dropping over the weekend, there'll be some fear. I think crypto is going to come down. I think the beginning of the week, there might be some good buy the dip opportunities. But I do think crypto will rebound as the fear passes, because that's kind of the thing. I think it's going to all follow the same thing. So if you're looking for a good a good entry point into like any of the Bitcoin ETFs or Bitcoin or even Ethereum, I think you'll have a good chance early this week. Let's see. Telus could be heading for an earnings beat. Telecom's slowly crawling out of the wilderness. Yeah, I think Telus is, they're all getting there. I mean, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of that investment in 5G now in the rural areas. But I think on the other side, they're going to be fine. Now, mind you, if things get really bad for Canadians, they could have a little bit of pain, like if people start cutting their phone plans because they're trying to save money. So that is a possibility as well. Chad says, let's see, 5% in crypto is not a drop. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, crypto has pretty high swings for sure. Let's see, ETFs aren't a problem, right? Because they are already diversified as they usually have. Yeah, exactly. So ETFs are fine, especially if you're looking at some of the tried and true ones, like we mentioned before, XEQT, VFV, VDY. These are good ETFs for sure. You want to avoid ones right now. The ones you don't want to be holding at this point in time are leveraged. So like things like, and we've mentioned before, ENCL, and only because, those, the leverage, you may experience a bit more of a drop with that leverage. So, if you're in the green, you might want to switch to a non-leveraged version. The cover calls, I think, will be fine for now, at least. Let's see. U.S. is investing big time in crypto. Buy the dips. Yeah, absolutely. The U.S. is, they have Trump has laid the groundwork, the initial groundwork towards moving towards a sort of a Bitcoin or just a crypto treasury reserve. So that is something. Now he can't just sort of, and this is kind of one of those things I think a lot of people were expecting in crypto, that he would just legislate, just do an executive order. Yeah, here we go. Now we got a crypto reserve. That has to go through Congress. So that is something that will take longer, but it is in the works. Let's see. ETFs will be less volatile than individual stocks. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's see. Brother Chad, I took your advice months ago and got into crypto. Thanks again, buddy. There you go. Chad says, but they will still go down, just not as bad as stocks because of their diversification. And yeah, you guys are starting to sound like a scam. I'm just because you get those guys that come in the comments and it's like, oh, I did so great on crypto. Yeah. Check out my advisor on Telegram. If you ever see those guys in the comments, ignore it. It's scammers. But no, Kevin and Chad are not trying to scam you guys. Let's see. Yeah, crypto, the way of the future. All right. Paul says, do you think people will panic and sell all their holdings? There will be a couple of people that probably will. There'll be some panic. Some people will sell things, and some people will sell things that to move things, to move money to more defensive stocks because of what's going on. So yeah, there will be some, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be. It's not going to be like like a day that we have to call it Black Monday or something. Let's see. Been in crypto for 3 years. Nice. Maybe it's time to step a little away from North America and invest a little more abroad. People who invest in XEQT and the like might be well positioned to ride this out. Yeah. No, I love XEQT. And there's another option too coming up in our news stories. All right. I'm going to quickly get this uranium one out of the way, guys, and then jump right back into the chat. All right. Here we go. All right. So Canada and Poland. So there is, let me just take a look here. There is a new agreement. Canada and Poland have signed a landmark agreement establishing the legal framework for deeper cooperation on nuclear power. which is kind of cool. So basically, this is going to strengthen the ties between the two nations into a clean energy, basically clean energy development environment. So Poland basically has been relying on coal-fired power plants, and they're making a significant push towards cleaner energy and more sustainable energy. So as part of this transition to renewables and to nuclear, Poland has selected Westinghouse Electric to construct their nuclear power plant. And this is going to be on the Baltic Sea, and it will be a pretty big step towards getting rid of a lot of that coal. Now, Canada, of course, plays a very pivotal role in this because Westinghouse is owned by Canadian companies, and it relies on Canadian nuclear expertise and technology. Canada, of course, guys, you guys know this. They've been a long global leader in nuclear energy. We got the whole CANDU reactors and supplying power domestically and internationally. So this is pretty big. This is pretty big for Poland as well. In addition, Canada is also one of the world's top producers of uranium. So they need uranium for these. You know where they're going to get them from. They're going to get them from Canada, probably from Saskatchewan to be more specific, because that is where our uranium is. It's in other places as well, but Saskatchewan has a big amount of uranium, as Chad is probably going to be telling you very soon. Now, the good thing about this is beyond just the whole technology, the partnership, it strengthens some of our economic and political ties between, of course, Ottawa and Warsaw, the capital there of Poland. And it does reinforce Canada's commitment to helping allies transition to cleaner energy and gives us another export avenue for uranium, which is always a good thing. At this time, this time of a trade war, the more we can export uranium, the better. And of course, this is a good step in the right direction as far as I am concerned. All right, now, where the heck am I? Trying to sneak in a news story and get back to chat as fast as I can. It's great. Ian says, October 2023 was a real low point in my portfolio. Showed negative, was a great buying opportunity. Bear markets are a necessary part of a healthy economy. Not my first bear market, won't be my last. No, that's true. Now, I mean, for some of you, this may be your first bear market when we head into it. Just don't panic. Don't panic. I'll still be here. I will still be here through the bear market, helping you guys along the way. Let's see. New investors will panic sell. Red means sale. Yeah, basically, exactly. It's that whole thing. You guys have probably heard it. The key to winning on the trading platforms is to buy low, sell high. And that's when you give into fear, you're doing the exact opposite. You're selling low something you bought high. You don't want to be doing that. You're doing the exact wrong thing when you're doing that. Let's see. Toronto Raptors fan did us proud and booed the U.S. anthem today. Oh boy, a lot of American anthem booing. Oh boy. A diamond hands. Yeah, sometimes you gotta diamond hand your way through the that fear, uncertainty, doubt. Otherwise, we usually call it FUD, F-U-D. Let's see. On the nuclear front, CPX saw a huge 15% dip on deepfake scare, already bouncing back. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. Long term, it does not matter if you are holding solid companies. Buy the dips is what I do. If you sell, most likely you will end up buying later higher. Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Luke says Canadian oil company already cheap. Will buy more on the dip. Chad saying oil dead. Uranium is the new oil. I think oil still has a long way to go, Chad. But yeah, I think uranium though is going to be more of the future. But oil is probably good for I'd say another 10 years at least. Let's see. I lost 34,000 on Nvidia last week. Deep stink psych up. Bought another 15K. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean Nvidia will be fine. I have no doubt about that. Chad says 1/2 of U.S. hydro goes to power data centers and cloud storage facilities. Microsoft, Meta, Google going nuclear to power their data centers. That's true. It's kind of weird when you hear about a company like Nvidia investing in a nuclear power plant in Japan. I think it was Nvidia that did that. It was either them or Google, but it's pretty cool. All right. Temperance says, what is the cannabis situation in Canada? Canada was a hype sector, and now nobody is talking about it. If the government legalizes it, will it be a massive industry? The answer I can tell you right now, Temperance, it's probably no. When Canada legalized marijuana, everybody thought the weed stocks were going to do fantastic. I even thought they were going to do better than they did. And most people who got into weed stocks ended up losing money. I didn't. I got very, very lucky though. I had a small position in weed. It was, what was it? Weed MD. I had a small position in that. And it was nice in the red like everybody else's. But then Wall Street Bets decided to do a play on it. I just happened to be on the line. I happened to be looking at that stock when it happened, and it flew up. And I leaped out because I moved into profits. I'm like, I'm getting out. I made half decent little profit on it. I actually got very lucky. I ended up getting right out at the top. It's very hard to do that, guys. Now, if I had stayed in even a little bit longer than I had, it then crashed after that. So I wouldn't have been in the red. In the green. So I got lucky, but I have a feeling that it's just I would approach it with caution. I wouldn't put a lot of money into it, hoping that it's going to go to the moon, because it may not. That's what happened in Canada anyway. Let's see. CCO. So yeah, that's chemical. They do uranium is another dip buy I take advantage of in low amounts. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Pot stocks are dead. Owning land, gold, and silver is your best bet in a depression. Yeah, those are always good hedges against the economy. CCO, URA, URC, great stock ETFs. All right, Paul says, I have a few utility stocks like Fortis and Canadian Utilities and CNQ. Do you think they are safe? I do hold PAO. I'm not worried about it though. They're like these are the utility companies overall are going to be lower risk. So, any damage or anything, any falling that they do is going to be more collateral or overall market sentiment pulling things down. But they're not directly impacted by tariffs. So those are not bad stocks to be into. And I would consider Fortis a defensive stock and Canadian Utilities. Well, both Fortis and Canadian Utilities, those are the only two Canadian dividend kings we have, meaning that they have increased their dividends consecutively for more than 50 years each. So that's not too shabby. Luke says panic sell will happen. We'll stay alert for opportunity. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Let's see, bring gold across the border, see what happens. So that would be interesting. Let's see, the beautiful host Candace put me into UN uranium. There we go. Let's see. All right, Harold said, have a few shares of URC in case uranium starts moving higher. I think it will. Keep in mind, guys, not that long ago, uranium, there was a lot more of it. They had a lot of uranium, more than the demand, but now the demand is more than the supply. So the supply used to be above the demand. So we're now in a situation where uranium is becoming pretty hot. Booing is not cool at all. Yeah, I personally wouldn't boo. I don't like what the US is doing, but I personally wouldn't boo. But I also, at the same time, I would never put anybody down for booing. So, let's see. Do you think CP is a good buy with tariffs? Well, CP will be impacted, because, well, what do? They transport things. Exports, imports, they're going to be impacted both directions. So there will be some impact. Now, mind you, anything that they're moving within Canada, from one part of Canada to another part of Canada, no impact. Or if they're moving something from one part of the US to another part of the US, no impact. But there will be some impact on the railroads for sure. Let's see. And Fred, just to go back to that, I want to say one other thing too. The impact that they're going to feel, it's not that they're paying the tariffs, right? It's going to be whoever's buying it. But because of those tariffs, there may be less product being moved across borders. So they could lose a little bit of business. That's where that impact is really going to hit them. So I just wanted to put that in there. Michael says, let's see. Tell us after Monday earnings, they had a big beat with all type of upgrades since earnings with Goldman Sachs top pick for 2025 before earnings to $40. Okay. And Chad says railways are always a good investment. Nobody can compete the infrastructure and cost too much to build. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I just did a deep dive on CNR. So even, these are companies that even with the tariffs, there'll be some impact to the business. So you're going to have some impact, of course. But both CP and CNR are going to be fine on the other side. I do consider them defensive stocks, even though they will be impacted. They have insanely big moats just because the barrier to entry for somebody who wants to compete against them, well, they don't have tracks. How can you compete against a railroad, right? And honestly, even if you could say, oh, well, trucking can beat them. Nope. The cost per pound of moving stuff on the railroad is astronomically cheaper than by trucking or shipping it by truck. So they have a crazy advantage. Lawrence, if these tariffs stick, they're looking at a repeat of the 90s recession. It could be bad. Yeah. If these tariffs, and especially if they get worse and they persist for, especially if they were to persist for more than 6 months, the impact is going to be big. Now imagine if these tariffs actually persisted for the whole 4 years. I don't even want to think about that, to be honest. I don't want to go there, but just imagine. Let's see, 1995, 1999. You guys are like historians. Lawrence is like, 1989, the recession started high, unemployment, low wages, many industries died. Yeah. Let's see. The only thing that is for sure is that nothing is for sure. That is absolutely true. Luke says, how about gold and silver stock and royalty? How do you think they will be affected? Well, I think gold is going to have a strong week. When people are afraid, they turn to gold. Silver, yeah, but I think gold will have a bigger impact than silver, but silver has been doing really well. So, I think they'll both be fine. And if you're in an ETF, like a gold ETF or a silver, you're probably going to look good next week. Let's see. Chad says physical gold, silver. I wouldn't buy paper certificates. Gold will hit 3K, 70 for silver. All right. Let's see. What uranium stock would you recommend? I mean, there's a lot. And I know Chad will. Oh, there he is. I was going to say Chad will come in with CCO. CCO is a good one for sure. Pretty much anything with uranium, I think, is going to be strong going forward. But CCO is a nice option. All right. Harold says, will tariffs slow down borders product movement because of all the extra paperwork? That's a good question. Honestly, I don't know if it's going to, it might, maybe a little bit, but I don't think it'll be a big thing. You also have to keep in mind that because of the tariffs, there may be less stuff moving. So maybe that'll all balance itself out. World War III. Yeah. And maybe in the history books they'll learn World War III started when the President Donald Trump levied tariffs against Canada. It could happen because guys, the Canadian military right now, I think they're getting ready. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, there they are. They're training. So maybe. Oh dear. Let's see. CCO has the purest uranium in the world mined here in northern Saskatchewan. Next Gen 2 done amazingly in the last 5 years. Yeah, anything coming out of Saskatchewan uranium-wise is going to be really, really good quality stuff. So, and yeah, URA, another good ETF, absolutely. Jay says, people in politics are very good actors off-screen, probably laughing as they prep their bunkers when the economy goes sideways. Maybe. Let's see. Nice divvy 2. Harold says, wonder if the U.S. will try to tariff European Union next. Well, I watched an interview with Mark Carney, and he was talking actually to somebody. I think the reporter he was talking to was from Britain. And he sort of suggested, the guy said, well, what about maybe, Europe or the UK coming to help Canada? And, or sort of getting into the fray. And I think Carney said something along the lines as they probably want to stay quiet so they don't hit them next. And it could be, it could be that way. We'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see. All right, guys, let's see here. Oh. All right. I know what happened here. I had another news story on Walmart. It's not a big story anymore. Basically, Walmart's expanding in Ontario, adding some super centers, all of that fun story. But for whatever reason, the Beaver picture for that one did not translate onto my system. So we'll skip that one. That one's not a big story. But this is this is one I did want to hit on a little bit before. So good morning, Germany, I call this one. So as you guys know, we have the CDRs. So the CDRs, CIBC has them on the the SOBO exchange, and there are ways that you can get a fractional share of some American stocks. Well, they have actually expanded them beyond America now. They're actually adding some German ones. Already did Friday. On Friday, they added 5 German ones. Now, just a little bit of background. So the CDRs, they're certificates that let Canadian investors, of course, pile into some of the American stocks, and everything is all priced in the Canadian dollar. So you don't have to worry about currency or any of these things as well. So they're nice. They're nice. I like CDRs. I do like them. Now, interestingly enough, so in 2024, they basically did $244 million worth of CDRs were traded every day on average. So that is from the previous year. That's an increase of 523%. So these things are getting pretty darn popular. But they have 65 of them for the US, and now we finally have some German ones. So the 5 German companies, Alliance, that's basically they're a financial service company over there in Germany. BMW, you guys know what BMW is. Mercedes-Benz, SAP. So SAP is a software company. And if you've been around software, you probably have heard of SAP. And Siemens, which is a tech company. So those are the new German ones that are coming out. So that is fantastic. All right, and guys, I'm going to very quickly just get through the last bit of this news just before we get back to the chat. We have one more news story. Organized theft. So shoplifting is becoming it's changing. It's actually becoming much more aggressive. And there's been this thing called mob lifting. So what mob lifting is you've got about 7 shoplifters all coming into the store together, and they're coordinated. So they all pick up their different stuff and they leave all at once. And if you try to stop them, they will use violence on you. And sometimes they'll even use violence if you just get in their way. And some of these are even being tied to organized crime. So this is kind of this new trend that they've been seeing it in, I think Toronto. I haven't heard of it outside of Toronto yet, but it is a new trend that has been happening. Now, robbery rates. So in 2023, robbery rates in Canada were up 4% in total. Shoplifting rates were actually much higher. They went up 18%. So it's not good. So in total, Canadian retailers lost $9.1 billion to theft in 2024. Now, it's a significant, it's a significant increase from 2018 when the annual losses were closer to about $5 billion. So we've almost doubled the amount of stuff that's being stolen from the stores in not that long. That's like 6 years. So that's really, really interesting. And roughly now, about 45% of incidences last year included violence against staff or customers. So not good, not good. And they're stealing pretty much everything. Everything out there is being stolen. It's a big problem. And theft might get even worse with the tariffs. if people can't afford to buy things, people will sometimes be out there stealing stuff. So what can I say? Next week, not a lot happening in the, in Canada and the US other than jobs data. On Friday, on the 7th, we'll be dropping, I'm not me, but they'll be dropping the jobs data. Oh boy. Now let's hope this may be the last positive one for a bit. If these tariffs start to cause some unemployment, and that's a real possibility. So let's hope not. All right, guys. All right, let's actually, you know what? Our conversation keeps on going back to, give me 1 second here. All right, here we go. I was going to say our conversation keeps going back to these tariffs. I might as well just leave this up. I might as well leave it up. All right. All right. Carney wrecked the British economy. I've heard many people say that. I've heard many people say that for sure. German beavers. What did I miss? I know. It was a story on Germany. What can I say? So I actually was when I was working with AI to make that, and it came out perfect. I was like, oh my god, I love that. That was fantastic. So, do you have any thoughts on Baxter Laboratories? Oh, yeah, that's a thing. Laboratories are. It's a situation where I think right now healthcare laboratories of any kind, I think they're going to struggle for a little bit while we're sort of waiting things. Now, the best thing that could happen is, and I haven't heard, I think they're still confirming RFK. Hopefully, if he doesn't make it through, that could actually be a good thing. But right now, I think there's a lot of fear going into pretty much anything science or especially pharmaceutical. Oh boy. Let's see here. Let's see. No worries. We're all here to learn. Let's see. Future's looking bad. Yep. I kind of believed it. All right. Let's see here. I really like your live chats. Have a good evening. Gotta go. Take care, Paul. Take care, Paul. Yeah, this is a long one. This is a long one, guys. Carney, Freeland, Trudeau, all World Economic Forum puppets. All right. Lots of butter being stolen in South. I know. It's like, yeah, they're selling it, and then they're bringing it back. BAX. You know what? Let's give me a second here. All right. You know what? I want to be able to do the thing, so I guess we'll get rid of the picture for now. I guess we'll get rid of the picture here. Let's pull up BAX though. All right. There we go. Oh, that is the Discord. We have a Discord, guys. There's a link down below if you ever want to join in. All right, give me a second. Let's pull up. Come on, there we go. BAX. Here we go. Baxter International. And you can see once again, and this is all. Okay, come on, go away. All right, this is all what's been going on, and this is kind of you'll find this through most of your labs. Everything from I think Abbott's doing the same thing as well, and AbbVie, and they're all running into this, but they are going to be fine on the other end. Here's the thing: if you're a long-term investor, you'll have great opportunities to get these at a pretty good price, and then hold on. Of course, hold on. It's going to be very interesting. Let's see. Isn't Palantir tomorrow? I believe Palantir. Let me just take a look here. So yeah, this week coming up, we have Amazon, Google, Eli Lilly, Pepsi, Disney, AMD, Palantir, MicroStrategy. Up here on the Canadian side, we have Routers, Constellation Software, Great West, Suncor, Bell, TMX, OpenText. Just a few of the earnings that are coming up this week. Let's see, 1.4 PE last 5 years. I would not touch it. Yeah, I wouldn't sell it. I definitely wouldn't sell it for sure. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Let's see here. And a few others before jobs reports. Let's see. You make profits when you buy, not when you sell. Yeah, that is true. Let's see. Somebody I know works there and gets a 15% discount on the stock purchase. Nice. That's always a good thing. Should she opt out of it? If she's doing it like if she's doing it as a Like if it's kind of almost like a dollar cost average, like I think a company like Baxter Labs, I think they'll be fine long term. Right now, it's going to be rocky for a bit, but that means the price will be down for a bit. So I would go for it personally. Personally, I would. Let's see, dip your toes, see what happens. There we go. There we go. Oh, I've actually caught up. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Sometimes it takes a little while to get caught up, but why not? Oh gosh, we're at about 2 hours and 24 minutes. So if you got your last minute questions, get them together, get them together, get them into the chat. I'm going to have a little bit of coffee here. Harold says buying some HHIS. It looks interesting. Yeah, and guys, HHIS, that is that new ETF from Harvest that has all of their other, well, we used to call them single shares, but yeah, it has all of them in it. So you get a little bit of most of your tech stocks and a few others as well in there. I like it. I like it. But keep in mind, it is covered calls as well. So there is that whole upside loss when things are doing really, really, really good. Nike. Interesting. I do like Nike long term. I think they're a good company. I think they're definitely a good company. So, well, you know, one of those things for sure. Coming up, guys. Oh, Evolve, by the way. So Evolve is going to they are going to hopefully get back to me very soon. I have done my third revision of the EBIT deep dive. So that could be coming out this week as well. And that'll be an additional video. So if it comes out, I'm hoping to have it for Wednesday afternoon. That would be a good time to drop it because it's kind of right in the middle of the two videos that I already have. So the 0 to 100K challenge video, update video, that'll be coming out on Tuesday. And it's looking like Dollarama is going to have the Thursday spot. So that's going to be fun. And perhaps we will have the EBIT deep dive in the middle. So I'm looking forward. It could be a 3-video week. I'm hoping so. And then I can move on to the next one. So for those of you who are like, what the hell are you talking about? Evolve has sponsored the channel. So we're going to be doing three deep dives for Evolve over the next 2 months. So let's see here. We'll slowly DCA. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Missy says it's going to be a crazy week. Take care, everyone. Yeah, absolutely going to be a very, very crazy week. All right, guys, we're at 2.5 hours. I think that's a good time. I think that's a good place to call it. This has been a fantastic stream. You guys all rock. Of course, we will be back with another live stream on Wednesday as we do the market close and access all the damage that's happened. Oh boy, it's going to be fun. It will be fun. I think it's going to be very fun. We'll be back here again, of course, to slam it again next Sunday. We do this every week, so it's going to be fantastic. Until then, guys, I'll bid you a good week. I hope you can have a good week. Let's you know what? Let's just stand strong. Stand strong as Canadian investors and the American investors. There's a few Americans here too. And we'll be back again soon. Until then, guys, take care. Have a fantastic evening. Bye.